voted yes. I mean, look, this thing is exactly what Americans don't want for a variety of reasons. I mean, you got all the taxes, all the boards and commissions, all the bureaucrats. But in the end, and I've been saying this since we started this debate, since Obama and the Democrats pushed this thing last year, what Americans most dislike about this bill is it goes contrary to what this country's about. Americans hate being told what to do. That's why I love your, hands off my health. I love that title. Americans hate being told what to do. We actually think liberty and freedom mean something in this country. You think about the folks who started this place. They came here because in Europe they said you got to practice your faith a certain way. They said, no, we don't. We're going to go to America. We're going to do it the way we think the good Lord wants us to. And now here comes the federal government getting between them and their doctor, and they're just saying, no way. I mean, I love the old joke that you probably heard. Most Americans travel down the highway when they see the sign that says 55. For most Americans, that's not the limit. That's the challenge. I mean, that's how we look at things. And so again, here comes big federal government saying, oh, we're going to get between you and your doctor. We're going to tell you how you get your health care. We got all these boards and commissions going to determine how that all works. And Americans are like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And so it was that's one where you hit the yes button a couple times when you vote in the House, because you really wanted to get this thing overturned. Americans instinctively know when you when you have a 3,000-page bill, 2,700, whatever it was, thousands of pages bill, that's going to create all this new bureaucracy that has tax increases in it. Americans instinctively, that's a new entitlement. Americans instinctively know that this is going to cost money. It's going to add to the record deficits that we've already seen with this Democrat administration, the Democrat Congress. It's going to pile up even more than the $14 trillion national debt we have. Americans instinctively know that this thing was not going to reduce the deficit. I mean, Democrats always want to say the tax increases in this bill somehow that's going to help. That just hurts economic growth in the long run, hurts output, which leads to, which I think frankly leads to greater deficit and higher debt. So of course Americans get this. Look, we can call it whatever we want. What we know is Americans don't want this. The election last year was all about it. And think about the things we have seen relative to health care. I mean, the November election was about health care. It was about getting spending under control, and this health care bill is about both those elements. Think about the fact 26 states, I've never seen this in my time in public life, I've never seen it in my lifetime, 26 states coming together, suing the federal government over this idea that why should the federal government be able to tell you to purchase a product? It's just un-American. So they can complain about the title, but the facts are, and Americans have already passed that. Americans have determined how bad this thing is. They know it. Our job is to repeal it. Again, on the face of it, and I'm no constitutional scholar, but on the face of it, we have never had in the history of this great country, the greatest nation in history, we have never had the federal government tell its citizens, you have to buy something, and if you don't, there will be real consequences. There will be penalties. I mean, that's just unprecedented in America, where we have a constitution, where we embrace liberty and freedom. So I think the case is just, again, at first blush, is so strong. And again, it's why you see 26 states bringing this cause of action. I'm optimistic. I mean, I'm optimistic because I've seen what's taken place in the last year and a half. And it started with this health care thing and the crazy spending of the Democrats, but you had the town halls, you had the election then in the fall of '09 of Chris Christie and Bob McDonnell, then you had the Scott Brown election, which was all about health care, then you had the November 2nd election, then you have Judge Vincent's decision. I mean, this thing is moving the right direction. And hopefully if it gets to the Supreme Court, they're gonna make the right decision and say this thing is unconstitutional. You're seeing it right now. I mean, look, you point out the most egregious things and you get those changed. The 1099 issue, that's going to get changed. Who would have thought in the signature bill, the holy grail for the left, this nationalized Obamacare health care scheme that they brought, who would have thought you would actually see the Democrat Senate say we need to get rid of the 1099 provision? So you pick out the really bad things, you get rid of those, and you keep fighting on making sure that the current, that the bureaucracy, that the federal agencies don't get any dollars to further implement the legislation. In fact, the continuing resolution, which is on the floor now, which will be voted on this week, we're going to have language in that bill that says no money for the remainder of this fiscal year can be used to further implement Obamacare. So you do those kind of things, which is exactly what the voters expect us to do.